Caprice, I don't think we've ever met in
only across
person.
the room.
Yeah, but we've known each other for a very long time. I knew of you, and you knew of me, and I knew of you when you were a school board member.
Yeah,
Yeah, families knew each other, and et cetera, et cetera. I think you would know, Magnolia is not my favorite charter.
It's not a surprise.
It's never been.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a point that I thought that it was turning its corner, and that I was supportive at one point, and it came very late in the game. And I think I have said all along, even though I may vote no, I wish you well, and I hope you prove me wrong. When was it approved? 2010? You have not proved me wrong yet. And when I say you, not you, Caprice.
Magnolia.
But Magnolia as an entity, it has not proved me wrong. And in fact, it's affirmed my conviction of something is not right. Each and every time I consider Magnolia issues, whether it was renewal, whatever have you, site issues, something's just not right. And even tonight, I felt better as a person and as a trustee and as a chair sitting here before I started hearing Magnolia's explanations and excuses and whatnot. I'm having like knots in my stomach, and I feel like I'm gonna like vomit because it's not making any sense. So, you may be able to talk to some of the board members who are new, but I've been here from Magnolia's inception and day one. And so it never made sense, and it's not making sense today. So let me just ask you a few questions. Please. So you found out first week of August, very late in the game. And so when did you notify neighboring or residing school districts?
So we did not, frankly, we did not realize that was a requirement.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for honest answer. You did not realize at that point that there was a requirement to notice. So when did you become aware, and when did you notify?
So all through the summer, we were in dialogue with Don Boss from the staff here about our search and our negotiations to try and find a site. As soon as I had a lease with National Hispanic University, I got a copy of it to him. I did not know that, I appreciate the fact that one would think that as someone who's been in the charter schools movement as long as I have, I should know that's
what about your attorneys? Did you not have your attorney at that point? Because you've had attorneys.
Yeah, so we have
whenever.
attorneys, and he's present here, but I did not know.
You've had he, you've had she. Where were they?
He's sitting right here.
Well, I'm not just talking about him. All the attorneys who've represented you. I mean, I can't get around the fact that I can understand you personally didn't know. You, Caprice Young, did not know. How can Magnolia, the entity, not know this?
I don't have an explanation for you. I can just tell you the fact and the truth.
You don't have an answer.
No, please let me finish. The fact and the truth is that that the staff here knew we were moving as
our staff is not your attorney.
I understand.
Our staff is not your staff.
And it's also not their responsibility to tell us how to comply with the law.
Right.
And as soon as we knew that it was a requirement, which was in January, and they asked us to withdraw our material revision, make the notifications, and then resubmit, we followed exactly what they told us to do.
So your answer is you notify the districts in January.
That is correct.
Okay. Could I ask the superintendent representative from the district, did I hear December or was it before? I'm confused. Into the microphone, please. Microphone.
The formal notice came in January. We were informally told that in December that they were going to file a revision.
By whom?
Actually, by the county office.
Okay, so they didn't inform you?
No, yeah, never until we got the letter.
Okay.
There was nothing ever. We were never contacted at all.
Thank you. Thank you. So that alone is very problematic to me, and I can understand that you have your circumstances, but it's just as a CMO entity operating however many schools across the state, it's a difficult fact. Another one that I wanted to ask you, and I'm a resident of Santa Clara Unified, and I'm very well aware of how things went down with the lease. And when you say Magnolia came out of recession in 2015, just like any of you, and any of us in I guess in California, you've mentioned that earlier, and your enrollment at the time was probably most robust in history of Santa Clara Magnolia. So I'm not sure what you mean by coming out of recession and it was difficult to find a place.
I can explain if you'd like.
Please.
Okay. So from the period of 2008 until 2013, the state of California was deferring the payments to charter schools, as it was to school districts, by 6 to 8 months. And so many charter schools were having some pretty profound financial difficulties. And Magnolia was in the same boat as a lot of charter schools were with that. As you are probably well aware, because you've lived through this more than most of the members of this board, Magnolia was under an audit from the Los Angeles Unified School Board Office of Inspector General, looking into how Magnolia handled their finances during that time period. Ultimately, Magnolia came out the other side of that audit with the state auditor being quite clear that while Magnolia's finances were not perfect, Magnolia was solvent and financially satisfactory. We are working through the 12 recommendations that came out of that audit, and all of those recommendations will have been satisfied completely by the deadline of May 7th. However, during the time period of the school year of 14-15, that audit was being resolved, and the state auditor was completing their audit. Because those things were in progress, it put Magnolia in a very difficult position financially to sign leases, because when an organization is being investigated by a school district, frankly, people don't want to lease to you. It makes it really difficult. And so it really wasn't until late spring that Magnolia was even in a position to be able to be considered for signing a lease. And that was part of the challenge that we faced. So when I came on board in January, we began immediately seeking new facilities. The staff prior to my coming had been seeking facilities, but had not been successful in convincing any facilities that they did find in leasing to them because of the ongoing audits.
Okay.
And
I
just
can
do you understand how that?
Going with, yeah.
Yeah. And so now our finances are quite strong. We are well documented, and so we don't have that
follow-up question to
Sure.
that. And you mentioned that because of your lease was going to be up, and everyone was aware, and this was no surprise, You said earlier that you've met with superintendents.